Hello, I'm Christopher Gahan, Vice President, Government Relations for Northwestern Mutual. And it's very fortunate today that I have two special guests here with me in Washington. I have Steve Radke, Vice President, Government and Community Relations for Northwestern Mutual, and he's also the President of the Northwestern Mutual Foundation. And I also have with me Daniel Ward. And Daniel Ward is a Product Support Specialist. He's also a very active NAIFA member. And we're going to have a conversation today about the importance of political advocacy, as well as the partnership between Northwestern Mutual and NAIFA. So let me start off with the first question, Steve. As you know, Northwestern Mutual is a Fortune 100 company, has an over 160-year history, has a lot of resources at its disposal. I would be biased, but I think we have a very good government relations team. But what is the importance of us also partnering with NAIFA?
That's a great question, Christopher. I think a lot of people could look from the outside and say, boy, as you said, a very strong, financially strong company, all sorts of resources, a beautiful office here in Washington, D.C., savvy lobbyists. Why do we need, to partner with NAIFA, and what do they bring to the table? I know, from our experience on Capitol Hill, you worked on Capitol Hill as well, we know that the most effective way to advocate is to have real constituents talk to lawmakers and tell personal stories about how their work impacts the lives of the voters of that lawmaker, right? So while you're very good at telling the story of Northwestern Mutual, Daniel, who's been out there working with clients, working with people, helping solve problems, that just brings the game to a whole different level. That brings it home for policymakers to really hear the stories of how people's lives are impacted, by the work of our advisors and the products that we bring to the market. So, and when we work with NAIFA, where it's beyond just one company, it's the entire industry. So we have an industry voice, which is so important to lawmakers.
Well, and this often has to do with what's going on in the building behind us, right, in terms of politics. And let's be honest, these days, people seem a little bit tuned out with politics. People are fed up with what's going on in Washington. It has a lot of negative connotations. That being said, it's important to be engaged. So, Daniel, why did you decide to get engaged? Why did you decide to get involved in advocacy?
The benefit is keeping the relationships that I've built with those legislators and lawmakers, and also being able to be that voice for the constituents who may not be able to speak directly to the legislators and lawmakers, and making sure that there's never anything as far as policy that would interrupt anything that we've done in our planning for our clients. And one event that I can think of recently is a birthday event for our state senator, LaTanya Johnson, in the state of Wisconsin. And it was also attended by our mayor, Chevy Cavalier. They knew who I was, and it's just incredible to have those strong relationships with those people who are essentially putting policy in place and making sure that they protect every American. So that's what drives me.
There are also maybe some benefits to Northwestern Mutual and the company by having folks like Daniel being engaged and other NAIFA members. So, Steve, from your standpoint, what are other benefits for Northwestern Mutual to have people like Daniel doing what they're doing?
Well, I know we've talked about it. I feel every time we go up on the Hill with a financial advisor, we become better lobbyists. Right? We like to think we're good at what we do, but it's really hard to know sometimes if we're making a difference. But we know our top advisors are like quantifiably successful at convincing people about the value of our products and their advice. So when we get to go to the Hill and watch how they respond to questions, how they describe our products, how they describe their work, how they tell stories of how they're impacting lives, we learn from that. So we become better lobbyists every time we're on the Hill with an advisor.
So Daniel, you talked about this engagement at the state level and how important it is. But why is it important for NAIFA and for members like yourself to be engaged with lawmakers at all levels, not just the state, but also in the building behind us?
Great question. So what that does is that brings to mind an event here in Washington, D.C., where I'm about to cross the street, and across the street, crossing on the opposite side, is the Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin. And she sees me, and the look of joy and excitement that overcame her face, and she's waving and crossing the street so excitingly just to come and say hello to me. That's the moment when it really took me and struck me the type of relationships that we're building when we meet with our not only state legislators, but as well as our federal legislators, and how much they respect what we offer and share with them, and how willing they are to take the information that we give them.
If I could add to that,
Sure.
I think one of NAIFA's great values is that they try to build relationships with every lawmaker at whatever level, even brand new state legislators. And in public service, members often stay around for years, often decades, and you never know where they're going to end up. So they can be a brand new freshman in the legislature, but before you know it, they could be on a key lawmaking committee. Then they could be the chair of that committee. Then a year later, they could be a member of Congress. And to have that long-standing relation with our industry and what we do is so important, and you never know where those relationships are going to take you.
That was a great story about your interaction with Senator Baldwin. And I remember when I was working in the Senate, how many people are always trying to come up to you, try to come up to the member, try to lobby them. But it really takes kind of a special relationship to have that real, true communication where it can truly influence the outcome. So can you talk to me a little bit more about how you kind of develop that relationship with lawmakers and the importance of it?
Absolutely. So I like to look at it as the type of relationship that you build with your clients. With your clients, you are their trusted advisor. So it takes a lot of asking questions, a lot of listening, a lot of sharing, a lot of educating. So the relationships that we develop with our legislators, it's that trusted relationship. They look at us as a trusted partner.
And it probably involves a lot of interaction too, right? It can't be just a one-off thing. You really have to make sure to, on a regular basis, have those touch points, have those interactions. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Attending several events with them, for them, on their behalf, reaching out to them to say hello, just to check in on them. And eventually you'll see the reverse. They're reaching out to you when they have questions, when they're not sure if something within a bill would impact something that they previously had learned from us in a conversation that we had. You truly develop that trusted partner, that trusted advisor relationship, once again, very similar that you would have with your client, who they look at you as their trusted advisor. And anytime they have questions on anything or they're uncertain on anything, they know who their guy or their gal is, their trusted advisor, so that's who they're going to go to. So very similar with the legislators.
Well, very well said. And Steve, do you have any additional thoughts about that as well?
There are two things as a professional lobbyist I love to hear. The first is when you're going in to meet a lawmaker for the first time and they say, "Oh, I'm a Northwestern Mutual policy owner." Because then we know that a financial advisor has worked with them, met with them back in their community, part of the fabric of their district, and has explained the value of our products, and they understand the importance of the planning that we do and building the financial security for them, right? So that puts us miles ahead in that relationship because we know they know the basics of what our products do and how we work. The second thing I love to hear is when we get a call from a policymaker and they say, "Hey, I saw this proposal. What do you guys think of it?" Because then we've moved from just advocates out there trying to convince someone to, we're a trusted advisor to them. They're looking for our opinion. They know that we're issue experts. And we can really only build that type of relationship when we partner with our friends at NAIFA.
Steve, Daniel, thank you for your time today. It was a pleasure to talk about the importance of political advocacy as well as the partnership between Northwestern Mutual and NAIFA. And thank you for your time today. Hopefully you'll get involved, and if you want more information, please go to naifa.org.